So this is the play right here that kind of caught my face, and that is this is the play here that kind of caught my eye. This Aliyah Boston play, man. So I don't know. I think her contact or something got knocked out, but guys, this was nasty work here. This was just nasty work here, bro. Nasty work. So that's Brittney Griner. It looked like she's laughing.
Recent reporting from Amy Costable suggests the collective bargaining agreement must reach completion by February to avoid pushing back the WNBA's planned launch date. This assertion faces scrutiny from certain quarters, particularly the subtitle accompanying the piece. The coverage appears to follow a pattern increasingly common in sports journalism, presenting labor negotiations through a lens heavily favoring player interests. Media outlets covering these CBA discussions have demonstrated remarkable consistency in advancing narratives sympathetic to the Players Association. This tendency has become unmistakable throughout the negotiation process. Costable's headline declares WNBA could be weeks away from delaying season, which raises immediate questions about framing.
Look like she's laughing about what happened. Now, you guys haven't seen it yet. Watch this. Watch this. Bow. Come on, bro. Look at Aliyah Boston on the ground. Now, I'm unsure she was, it looked like she was able to come back to the game.
The subtitle proves especially peculiar, stating that despite the schedule's recent release, the league probably requires CBA agreement by February to maintain its intended timeline. An alternative framing might ask why the Players Association hasn't accepted the current proposal sitting before them. Management has already presented terms to the table. The players countered with their own demands, which ownership subsequently declined to acknowledge, a telling response revealing everything necessary about the proposal's viability. League executives have publicly stated the players' current demands would generate approximately $700 million in losses. Under those economic realities, ownership clearly won't proceed with ratification.
But my goodness, man. My goodness. We even get this type of stuff done on Unrivaled. Luckily, she was able to put her contact back in, but my God. Mike stated, Brittney Griner is a dirty player who's jealous of Aliyah Boston. Ain't her fault. You ain't relevant anymore. Man, she was never relevant. Only time she was relevant.
That particular proposal appears effectively dead. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson posted something revealing on social media that suggests potential fractures developing within the Players Association's unified front. Recent discussions have touched on this emerging dynamic. Consider the mathematics of player representation. Unrivaled currently features roughly 60 participants. What about the remaining roster players across the league who aren't participating in that alternative competition?
You ain't relevant anymore. Man, she was never relevant. Only time she was relevant was when she got locked up in Russia, bro. I don't know. It's clear as day that a lot of these ladies hate on Aliyah Boston, hate on the FIBA girls. But I think they need to just let it go. Somebody else said, the wanker asking the question should be effed off. He. I don't know. I'm not even going to read that. It's a bunch of gibberish. Somebody else said she's getting close to retirement because she can't physically keep up speed-wise with all.
Those athletes likely desire immediate CBA completion, potentially accepting whatever terms currently exist on the negotiating table. Previous coverage highlighted how this scenario might unfold. Internal conflicts among union membership appear increasingly probable. Rotation players sitting 5th, 6th, or 7th in their team's depth charts will eventually check their calendars and recognize their financial needs. These athletes may conclude accepting present terms makes practical sense, acknowledging the possibility of reopening negotiations 3 years forward while securing immediate compensation. League officials continue promoting May 8th as the campaign's opening date.
With all these young guns and change in the style of play for the WNBA, that is going towards a more modern style. The only thing she has left is the physicality. Somebody said, yeah, the league will be much better without this old guard play. aka lack of skill. Once the Griner and Alyssa Thomas of the leagues retired, I think it'll be much better. I think it's
This projection accompanied the 44-game schedule announcement, with statements explaining the release would facilitate essential planning processes. However, the actual status of collective bargaining negotiations tells a contradictory story. By Friday's close, the Players Association remained awaiting league response to a comprehensive proposal submitted nearly 30 days earlier. Multiple sources confirmed to Front Office Sports certain key details. Notably, ownership never acknowledged this proposal, which speaks volumes about its reception. The association's demands include capturing 30% of gross revenue alongside implementing a $10.5 million salary cap.
I think it's more than just them two. But the WNBA is built on a physicality because it really ain't that entertaining. I think the referees allowed them to play physical because the commissioner allowed them to play physical. I don't think we're going to see anything different until we get a new commissioner in this league. They're going to have to get a new commissioner. If fans, no buts about it. And supposedly,
these terms face fundamental obstacles toward acceptance. Management's most recent offer includes a maximum base salary reaching $1 million, potentially climbing beyond $1.3 million when incorporating revenue-sharing components. The league has proposed distributing roughly 70% of net revenue throughout the agreement's duration. What reports frequently omit is how that maximum figure escalates significantly by the CBA's conclusion, approaching nearly $2 million. This represents ownership's current standing offer. The proposed framework includes built-in salary escalation as the agreement advances.
If fans, no buts about it. And supposedly, man, from what I heard, Kathy Engelbert name was supposed to be getting removed from this league in part of that CBA negotiation. Not just the players, but some owners wanted Kathy Engelbert to be gone. As of right now, she's definitely still there. So I think we just got to wait and see, man. But Aliyah Boston took one on the chin last night.
Minimums, averages, and maximum contracts would all increase throughout the CBA's lifespan. Essentially, ownership seeks implementing mechanisms, allowing player compensation growth while simultaneously evaluating how their business performs under new media rights arrangements and evolving commercial landscape. Initial salary cap proposals position the ceiling at $5 million for year one, designed to expand proportionally with league revenue growth thereafter. The Players Association declined commenting on the schedule's release, though numerous athletes voiced reactions through social media platforms. Four-time MVP Wilson shared a clip from the television program Reasonable Doubt, captioning it "Me looking at the schedule release." The scene depicts a character stating, "Somebody better start talking right now before I start screaming." Wilson's selection of this particular moment raises interesting questions about her intended target. Is frustration directed toward league management or toward union leadership? Sophie Cunningham recently indicated that communication from union representatives has been sporadic, consisting of fragmented emails and scattered conversation snippets.
Last night, man, messing around with Brittney Griner. Ugly situation. Now, that wasn't the only play, man, from Aliyah Boston and Brittney Griner. They was supposedly going at it all night, man. Here's another play. Look at Aliyah Boston. She getting frustrated. Look at her. What the hell is this, man? What is she doing?
The situation suggests players aren't receiving comprehensive updates about negotiation progress. Everyone appears operating with incomplete information. The article proceeds, discussing how the schedule features an immediate finals rematch to launch the season. Strangely absent from this scheduling coverage is any mention of the Indiana Fever facing the Dallas Wings, specifically Caitlin Clark versus Paige Buchers, a marquee matchup that went unmentioned in the reporting. That omission seems remarkable.
Kiki was really good today. Kiki scored the last 2 points. Did she? No. She scored the game winner, but I think Kelsey Plum got the basket before that. That being said, you're looking at a situation here where Aliyah, Tiff Hayes, like the whole team had more than 12. Whereas for the vinyl, it was literally just Hamby and Reinhardt. It was just Hamby, Ryan Howard, like Wheeler at 7. Ray Burrell played. Did she get injured? Not that I can even remember. But not only that, it happened. It happened again. So we are going.
Legitimate concerns exist about whether the league can realistically launch in May, alongside questions about the 44-game format itself. Understanding exists that schedule expansion won't happen this particular season due to World Cup commitments. The Players Association proposed completely removing certain designation restrictions, though management hasn't shown willingness to engage with that suggestion. Discussion then shifts toward free agency logistics and the expansion draft process. Sources consistently indicate early March represents the optimal scenario for free agency's commencement, contingent upon CBA finalization by early February. This arrangement would allocate February's remaining weeks for organizing and executing expansion draft procedures.
It happened again, so we are going to. I'm trying to think. Are we going to full screen this? Are we going to full screen? I just need to see what way this goes, but no, we're not going to full screen. So we're going to drag this and make it a lot bigger. Hopefully you guys can see it. I was watching the game and heard this, and then shout out Livewire Sports for clipping this and putting it out on Twitter. I was like, I can't even remember what time in the game it was. So basically, this is what happened.
From the league's perspective, preparations continue assuming normal business operations. This raises questions about organizational readiness. Do these franchises and their leadership actually have protection lists prepared? Presumably they do, otherwise they'd be demonstrating gross irresponsibility. Every team's management should have completed mock scenarios identifying which players they'll shield during expansion and which free agents they'll pursue. These preparations should exist immediately, ready for deployment should an agreement materialize today.
I can't even remember what time in the game it was. So basically, this is what happened. Before, I'll play the commentary from Lisa Leslie afterwards. So Brittney Griner comes for a rebound, but the previous possession, Brittney Griner and Aliyah Boston kind of locked arms. They locked arms. But Griner just goes for the head. She goes for the head and just is like, you know what, I could not care less about getting the ball. She goes for the eye gouge. Like, this is a cheap shot. And Lisa Leslie's commentary is hilarious. Like, I can't. Oh, do my headphones work? My headphones haven't been working all day. Sorry, like, I'm back.
Under standard operating procedures, free agency launches in early January with major signings typically finalized by early February. Transposing that traditional framework onto present circumstances suggests an early March beginning would furnish adequate time for roster construction before training facilities open, April 19th. However, front office personnel would simultaneously juggle free agency responsibilities while preparing for the 2026 WNBA draft scheduled for April 30th. Both negotiating parties have stressed dedication toward ensuring the league's 30th anniversary season proceeds as intended. The challenge now falls squarely on the players. Should a strike materialize preventing the season's commencement, public blame will land directly on the Players Association.
Oh, do my headphones work? My headphones haven't been working all day. Sorry, like, I'm back. I'm back in like a half a setup here. Not only that, like, Lisa Leslie literally said that if that happened to her, she would have punched her.
Fan sentiment has shifted considerably. While perhaps 20% of the traditional WNBA audience maintains positions like compensate them equivalent to NBA standards, that demographic still exists. These supporters appear disconnected from economic realities, imagining conspiracies where ownership conceals financial resources. Their perspective ignores fundamental business mathematics. Nonetheless, the crucial point stands. Pressure has intensified dramatically on the players. Supporters now possess clear awareness regarding proposals under consideration and what ownership has offered.
I think some people have said that. So Lisa Leslie said she would have punched someone if they do what Brittney Griner did to Aliyah Boston. Then obviously calling Brittney Griner exactly as she sees it. If it were my face, I would have punched her. Brittney Griner did it on purpose. Aliyah Boston, Brittney Griner going back and forth. Part 250. Like, it is literally a case for these two players where they are absolutely.
The schedule's publication generated substantial excitement. Fans immediately began highlighting games generating personal interest and anticipation. If the players reject available CBA terms and either the entire season evaporates or even 3 contests get lost, the consequences for the league would prove catastrophic. The damage would be substantial because considerable portions of the audience already teetered on abandonment following controversies surrounding Caitlin Clark's injury situation last season. That's the assessment of where negotiations currently stand. The Players Association faces mounting pressure as public awareness grows and fan enthusiasm builds around the published schedule.
They are absolutely like, they clearly don't like each other. Like, it is, I don't think there's been a more clear case in the WNBA in recent times of players that just don't like each other. Like, outside of like Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon or Satu and Dejanay. Like, it's right up there with that. But like, that was a cheap shot. I have to say that was a cheap shot from Brittney Griner, who, in fairness, was scoring, but getting cooked by Aliyah. Aliyah was cooking their whole team.
Internal divisions may emerge as rotation players recognize economic realities and desire immediate resolution, potentially creating friction with stars who can afford prolonged negotiations. The coming weeks will reveal whether these dynamics force compromise or whether the league faces its first significant work stoppage in this new era of expanded attention and commercial opportunity. Napheesa Collier faced questions regarding Unrivaled and her perspective on handling criticism. Before examining her actual statements, initial reactions suggested that if Collier simply discussed avoiding internet influence on personal decisions, such conclusions would represent obvious wisdom any reasonable individual should reach naturally. However, uncertainty existed about her specific messaging approach.
Aliyah was cooking their whole team. Again, if you look at Aliyah struggled. Struggled last year in Unrivaled. On the year, she is averaging, what's she averaging on the year? Goods of 20? Like, she's had 5 18-plus point games out of 6. So how many is she off averaging 20 a game? So 1, 3, 6, 7, and 5. She's 1.
Collier's public communication history demonstrates a pattern where statements sometimes emerge without apparent consideration for broader implications. The fundamental issue centers on fan perception. The majority of supporters primarily desire watching her compete athletically. However, recent statements positioned her as seemingly responsible for limiting fan access to basketball content. Consequently, basketball enthusiasts have begun shifting attitudes toward her, though not suggesting she represents a malicious individual or lacks intelligence.
5. She's like 19 point something points per game. 19, but basically she may as well be 20 a game, which is, look, that's all you can ask for from Aliyah. You can't expect anything more. Like, in terms of the stats, like, I assume Hamby has brought herself up into the near the top in points. Alicia Gray has actually got herself up to 4th in points per game. But tomorrow obviously is an interesting one, watching Lunar Owls against Breeze. This is a game the Breeze should win.
Nevertheless, sentiment has started turning somewhat negative. Audio-technical difficulties initially prevented proper review of Collier's comments, requiring reliance on captioned text instead. The discussion centered on managing criticism from detractors regardless of format or source. Collier acknowledged